everybody. I'm Deanna Cauthen, and welcome to the Elevate Show. And also, we want to wish everybody a happy St. Patty's Day.
Yes, happy St. Patrick's Day. We've got on our green, so you cannot jump through the screen and pinch us.
That's exactly right. I'm Deanna Cauthen, as I said before.
And I'm Adrianna Cauthen, your co-host, and we're the mother-daughter talk show that's here to elevate your family.
Absolutely.
If you haven't done so already, please take a second to like this video and to subscribe so that you don't miss our upcoming episodes.
Yes, and today we are taking you around the town to Sweetwater Creek State Park in Lithia Springs, Georgia. A real neat time. We visited there a couple of summers ago, and just great outdoor space. Great time outdoors, just exploring. I think we went there. All three of us went there. I'm not sure if we brought the dog on that one.
I don't know if we brought her. Yeah, but we got to explore and be in the outdoors, and it was a really good time.
Yeah, very much so, very much so. I believe that's the park where they have filmed some of the movies that are being filmed, that have been filmed down here in Georgia. They have a sort of some ruins, if you will, for lack of a better term, of a building there, and they've done some filmings for some really big movies. I don't want to say which one and get it wrong, but if you look it up, it'll come up on Google if you were to Google it. So a really terrific time there. In our perspective segment, Adrianna are going to be discussing communication, why it's so important, how it affects families and relationships, of course, within those families. We're going to even talk about our relationship and how we communicate with each other. So you'd absolutely want to stay tuned for that, a really important topic. And then we're going to take it to the next level in our continuing the conversation segment. And I'm going to sit down with none other than my husband. And we're going to talk about communication as it relates to your significant other, as it relates to your spouse. And so really important tips that we're going to share with you about successful communication. So make sure you stay tuned to that. Adrianna, what else?
Yes, so in this week's Meal of the Week segment, I'm going to be showing you how to make a really easy homemade pizza recipe, and it's really versatile. You can use any kind of toppings that you want.
Absolutely, absolutely. So lots planned for this week's show. Stay tuned. We have to take a break, but we will be right back. Perspective segment. And in this segment, we always take a question and kind of just discuss it between the two of us. And today's question is, how can you better your communication with your significant other? But we want to kind of broaden that to talk about how can you better your communication with family members, people in your household. In this case, Adrianna and I are going to talk, about our levels of communication and how we how that's worked for us, and why we have been able to be this successful mother-daughter team. I mean, to me, it's hard. It would be difficult to work with someone, and we work very closely together, if you don't have good communication skills. So let's talk a little bit about that. Why do you think why do you think our communication is so good? What makes our relationship so good, and specifically, what makes our communication so good?
Well, I think first of all, there's a fundamental level of mutual respect.
Absolutely.
I think when you respect the person, it's a lot easier to listen to them.
Wow. And I think that is a base. I think that is a baseline for good communication. It is because you value them.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, definitely.
You value who they are, their opinions, what they think, how they feel. Because I think if you don't have that, then then everything really breaks down from there. Don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, and so because I think communication is one of those things that has to, and first of all, it starts with that baseline, but you do have to learn certain skills.
Yeah.
Too, and I think you have to understand who the other person is, how they communicate, because it may be very different than your style. For instance, our styles are pretty different, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and so one of the things I've had to learn is, is to that you may need time to process something, and you may process internally. You tend to be more of an internal processor. I definitely tend to be more of an external processor. Wouldn't you say that's the truth?
Yeah, I would.
And so, but to really understand and respect that and not, run roughshod
Yeah.
over the other person. What do you think about
Yeah,
that?
I definitely agree. People definitely have communication style differences. Another thing is, some people are very good at reading between the lines.
Yeah.
And, figuring out what you said,
Oh.
even if you didn't actually, or
Yeah.
aren't if necessarily being blunt.
Right.
Whereas I'm not necessarily like that.
Right.
I mean, don't tell me,
Yeah.
if you tell me to
Yeah.
wash the dishes
Yes.
and then get mad at me because I didn't clean the whole house, I mean, that's just not going to work. It's like,
Right.
I'll give you what you want. I just need to know what
yeah.
it is.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point, because we've had that happen for us.
Yeah.
Where I have said, Adrianna, can you clean up the kitchen? Or no, or I've said, can you wash the dishes? But what I really meant was, can you clean up the kitchen? That means wipe down the countertop, sweep the floor, take out the garbage, all of that. And then I come in, I'm like, oh, the kitchen's not clean. And you've said, but you said wash the dishes, and which you did.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to understand and to really say what you mean.
Yeah, it is.
That's one little aspect of communication. What else do you think works for us, or is something that we do well, or maybe something that we didn't do well that we had to really learn how to do better? Maybe you with me, that was me with you, but was there anything that you've had to learn about my communication style?
Yeah, I have had to learn, I've had to learn how to,
Yes.
be more empathetic to different emotions, because I'm not always the best at reading
yeah.
emotions.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
facial expressions and
Yeah.
tones of voice,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
just
yeah.
knowing
Yeah.
whether somebody says they're fine and they're really fine, or
Right,
whether they say
right.
they're fine but they're actually
Not
hiding
fine.
something.
Right,
And
right.
another thing that I've really had to learn how to do
Yes.
with communication is how to set boundaries.
Yeah.
Like, there have been times when I've agreed to do stuff that
Yeah.
I didn't really want to do,
Right.
and then I ended up doing it with a really bad attitude.
Right,
When I
rather
could have
than
just
saying-
communicated that I can't really do this,
Right,
and
right, right.
avoided the problem.
Exactly, or just say, you know what, for instance, there have been times, and we've talked about this after the fact, when we've had guests over, and they were here for a long period of time, and you felt like, well, I guess I'm supposed to be out there with mom and dad's guests for 3 hours, but you had homework to do, or other things that you needed to take care of, and you were upset about it later, when what you've learned to do is say, you know what, I'm going to be out there for a little bit, and then I'm just going to excuse myself.
Yeah.
But again, learning how to communicate what you really feel, what you want versus what you don't want.
Yeah.
And I think that understanding that and being able to say what you mean and mean what you say always makes for better family, relations, don't you think?
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yes, so we are actually going to continue this conversation in our next segment with a special guest. The special guest happens to be my husband, Andrew Cauthen, and we're going to talk specifically about communication as it relates to your significant other, your spouse. And so we need to take a break, but don't go away. We will be back. Continuing the conversation segment, my mom will be discussing how to communicate with your spouse with my dad, Andrew Cauthen. Yes, it's always a joy to sit down with my husband and talk about things that matter the most to us. And we've had people ask us on a number of occasions, we've been married 21 years, and they say, why do you guys get along so well? Why do you always look so happy? And we're happy. But, happiness is a choice, and part of that choice has been really learning and choosing to learn how to communicate well with each other. That really is half the battle. And so we're going to talk about some specific things that we do, and we're going to share those tips and helps with you. So please turn your attention to my interview, my talk, our discussion about communication with Andrew Cauthen. Well, marriages thrive on healthy communication.
Right.
And so equipping yourself, couples equipping themselves with a good set of communication skills will only increase the bond of love. And so over the years, different ones have asked me, I don't know if they've asked you, but they've definitely asked me, so what's your secret? I mean, we're very close, and people see that we get along.
Right.
And I would say that there are many things that I think help to make our marriage good, but one of the main things has been good communication skills.
Right.
So I thought, well, why not? Let's talk about that.
Okay.
So here we are. So I want to talk a little bit about the several of the components that make up good communication. So I'm just going to kind of go, I have a list.
All right.
And I'm just going to throw it out there, and we can just kind of go back and forth about how those components have applied to us particularly.
Right.
So
Okay.
number one, I think for every couple would be respect.
Right.
Respect, and part of respectfulness, I think, is discretion with your words.
Right.
Not just saying any old thing. So let's talk about that. What is that? How has that looked for us?
Right. Well, I think one, you need to be respectful. You need to treat your wife as you want to be treated.
Okay.
The Bible says, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." That starts with the family.
Oh, yes.
The other saying is charity begins at home.
That's true. That's true.
It starts with your spouse. It starts with
Absolutely.
your wife or your significant other. And I think sometimes we people tend to let down their guard or whatever. I don't know if guard is the right word.
I know what you mean.
But they are worse at home than they are away from the home.
Yes.
They treat people outside of the house
Yes.
better than they treat the people inside the house, particularly
Yeah.
the spouse.
Yeah, and we've seen that.
And I think that's wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the main person that we should be treating with love and respect is the spouse.
Absolutely.
That's the first person. That's who we practice on. That's who we should be all in with.
Right.
Is the spouse.
That's right.
And you talked about you mentioned the
Yes.
verbal aspect
Yes.
of respect.
Yeah.
We don't have to say everything that we think.
That's
you
true.
know, I mean,
Yes. And we tell children that.
Right.
Don't you don't be quiet. Don't say that. That's not nice.
Right.
But we say not nice things.
Right.
To
Yeah.
each other
I
all the
remember
time.
my mom used to say all the time, and it wasn't it was just a general statement.
Yeah.
If you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at
Well,
all.
that's a word. Your mama knew.
Right.
Mama knew. Yeah.
But we don't have to nitpick our spouse about every little thing that
Yes.
is not that important in the first place.
Exactly.
That bothers you.
Exactly.
Get over it.
Grow up.
Get over it. Ignore it.
That's right.
sometimes,
That's right. And that's part of that whole using discretion. I think that I think it's so unkind, like you said, to unleash on your spouse, and to have no what do you call not blinders. That's not the word I mean. But no filters.
Right.
But you can somehow rein it in.
Right.
For the people at work or
Right.
for whoever, and I think that has been one of those underlying things that have saved, that's really been good for our marriage.
Right.
That we've learned to just to be nice, to
Right.
speak respectfully, to be respectful. And the bottom line is, I do respect you.
Right.
And you do respect me. I feel like you are just as smart and as competent And as righteous, if I have any righteousness, as I am.
Right.
You know, and as far as spiritual things are concerned, I feel like you can hear from the Lord in your spiritual walk with Him just as well as I can.
Right.
So this thing of, well, you don't know what you're talking about, those are the kinds of things that that make for not niceness.
Right.
And fortunately, we learned early in our marriage, don't do that.
Right.
That's not nice. So moving on, but I just, before I move on, I want to say I think that is really the baseline. That is really a foundation for everything else that we're going to say. Because I think without the respect,
Right.
Without honoring your spouse, I think everything else, I don't know how you do the other things.
Right. I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, I don't know how you do the rest. So that's why I wanted to start in with that one. But moving on, listening to your spouse, I think, is closely related to what we just talked about with respect. I think if you don't respect them, then you won't listen.
Right.
Because you think you got all the answers. What do you think? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. There's that other saying, God made us with 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we should hear twice as much as we speak.
I love that. I love that.
But if I respect my wife,
Right.
I'm going to respect what she has to say.
That's right.
And the knowledge that she possesses.
Wow.
I'm going to, and even if I don't necessarily understand it,
Right. Or even if you don't agree with it.
Or agree with it,
Yeah.
I can respectfully listen to my wife,
Right.
and then we can make a decision,
Right.
based on, come to an agreement. But we are partners,
Right.
and so I'm not trying to lord it over you. You're not trying to browbeat me.
Exactly.
And so we should.
Yeah.
Be able to listen to each other.
Absolutely.
And find that I really have that as a value.
Yeah, and that's my word.
You
You stole my word. Value. Yeah, but I think have that as a value, but also value your spouse.
Right.
Value them, and I think by listening, you show that I value what you have to say, even if I don't necessarily agree with it.
Right.
I do that because I value you.
Right.
And I think that is super important. I cannot tell you how many things I have learned in the 21 years of marriage, 22 years of us being in a relationship, because we dated a year before we got married, from just listening to your point of view. And it has broadened my perspective. It has grown. I have grown as a person because I thought to myself, well, I never thought of it like that. Now that he says that, now that he explains that, now that he, we vetted this situation a little bit more, yeah, maybe I ought to consider this point of view. But I have really grown, but you cut off your own growth when you don't listen.
Right. And it's the same way with me because, you are a different person with different experiences than I have had. Every person is limited.
Every person.
But when you listen and share the knowledge of another person, it broadens you.
We're going to take a short break, but we'll be back soon.
Welcome back to the Elevate Talk Show. And now we're going to take you around the town to Sweetwater Creek State Park in Lithia Springs, Georgia. We visited there a few years back, and not only is it a great outdoor space, several famous films have been shot there. They've done some filming on location there. One of those films has been the Hunger Games, right?
Yeah.
They shot some scenes for that movie at Sweetwater Creek State Park. So just a real little fun fact to know. So please turn your attention to our adventures at Sweetwater Creek State Park. This week's Around the Town takes us to Sweetwater Creek State Park in Lithia Springs, Georgia. Our family, along with our dog Carolina, visited the park last summer and discovered that Sweetwater Creek State Park is a peaceful tract of wilderness only minutes from downtown Atlanta. The park offers a wealth of activities and accommodations, including yurts along the lake that can be rented for overnight stays. A wooded trail follows the stream to the ruins of the New Manchester Manufacturing Company, a textile mill burned during the Civil War. Beyond the mill, the trail climbs rocky bluffs to provide views of the beautiful rapids below. The park also features a myriad of trails which wind through field and forest. The 215-acre George Sparks Reservoir is popular for fishing, canoeing, and kayaking. Pedal boats can also be rented. The Visitor Center features wildlife displays, trail maps, snacks, and a renovated gift shop. A meeting room that seats 40 can be rented for gatherings. The park also features a gateway-style Continental Truss Bridge which connects two trail systems located on either side of the Sweetwater Creek. The bridge was installed back in 2012 to replace an old bridge that was destroyed in 2009 due to flooding. The lovely lake and the quiet walking trails make Sweetwater Creek State Park the perfect place to visit if you want to get back in touch with nature, and we highly recommend it. For more information about Sweetwater Creek State Park, go to www.georgiastateparks.org/Sweetwater Creek. Well, we hope you enjoyed our time at Sweetwater Creek State Park. We need to take a break. Don't go away. We'll be back.
Welcome back to the Elevate Talk Show. And in today's Meal of the Week segment, I'm going to be showing you how to make a really easy homemade pizza recipe.
Yes, and pizza can be really used any time of the day and any day of the week, don't you think?
Yeah.
And it's very versatile. You can use it with all kinds of toppings. I mean, we've eaten pizza with ground beef on top, of course chicken, of course pepperoni,
Yeah, sausage,
bacon.
You can put various types of vegetables on it.
Peppers,
you can put
onions.
peppers, onions,
Yeah,
mushrooms.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that's just easy and fun and filling to eat. So please turn your attention to Adrianna's homemade pizza recipe.
Hello and welcome to our Meal of the Week segment. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make homemade pizza. So let's get to it. Okay, so let's get started on the pizza dough. Now, homemade pizza is a great weeknight meal to make. Although it takes a while for the dough to rise, since you're not having to stand over the dough and wait for it to get ready, you can do other things and be productive. So let's get started on the dough. So, pizza is a great weeknight meal to make. Although it takes a while for it to get ready, most of the time you spend on pizza is not prep time. You're just waiting for the dough to rise, so you can do other things while you're waiting for the dough to finish rising. So, I'm going to show you how to make a quick, easy pizza dough. So, we're going to start off by putting in 4 cups of all-purpose flour. Now, some pizza recipes call for bread flour, but all-purpose flour works just as well since it has a similar gluten content. And then we're going to put in 2 cups of warm water. You don't want it hot, you just want it lukewarm. We're going to put in 1 package of active dry yeast. And 2 tablespoons of sugar. You just put all that in your mixer and you turn it on. It's that easy. So I'm just going to take this dough off of the paddle and here's what it looks like. It's just, you want it to be well mixed. You don't want it to be too dry, but you also don't want it to be too sticky. So now I'm going to cover this up and let it rise for an hour, and then I'm going to stick some toppings on it and put it in the oven. Okay, so I put our pizza dough in a pan and I've shaped it. So now I'm just going to put on the toppings. So I've got some tomato sauce. You can use any brand you like, or if you're feeling really ambitious, you can make your own sauce. So I'm just going to put that on there and spread it around nicely. And now I'm going to put some mozzarella cheese on. I'm just going to spread that around. And now I've got some bell peppers and red onions, and I've got some bacon. But you can use any toppings you want. If you want to use sausage or pepperonis or ham or any other type of meat or vegetable you like, that's perfectly fine too. So I'm just going to take some onions and some bell peppers and spread those around on the pizza. I love bell peppers. They're one of my favorite vegetables. Okay, so got some vegetables on there. And now, here's some bacon. I'm just going to spread that around evenly because, you want everybody to get their fair share of bacon. People get very upset when they don't get enough meat on their slice of pizza. Okay, so we've got our pizza. It looks delicious. And now I'm just going to pop that in a 425-degree oven for about 30 minutes. And then I'll come back and show you the final results. So the pizza is out and it is absolutely delicious. So I hope this recipe helps you make a great weeknight meal for your family. Our time together is almost over, but before we go, we have a couple of things that we'd like to share with you. First of all, the Elevate Talk Show has recently created a business directory, which is a great place for you to post your business information if you're looking to connect with new customers. All you need to do is make a comment in the video and subscribe to our channel. And in your comment, just write down your name, the name of your business, your website, your email address, and your phone number, and we will list your business in our directory for free.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great way to support small businesses, women-owned businesses, businesses for minorities, just another way to put yourself out there. So definitely take advantage of this free opportunity. The next thing that we'd like to share with you is we'd love for you to get one of our refrigerator magnets. This is the new Elevate refrigerator magnet. It has the name of our show. It has our social media accounts on here, website. So go to our channel again. Put your contact information, subscribe, and we will send these right out to you. Matter of fact, we've sent out our first batch. We've completely sent out all of the ones from our first batch. This is actually our second batch of Elevate magnets. So we're proud to say that we were able to give out so many so far. So go ahead and submit your information. We'll send these right out to you today. Yes.
Yes, so we post new episodes of our show every week on YouTube, or if you want to catch us on TV, you can watch us on DeKalb County Public Access Channel 25, or you can live stream us on Sundays at 7 p.m. at DeKalb25.com.
Yes, so lots of ways to catch the Elevate Talk Show. We want to thank all of our viewers. We want to thank all of our subscribers. We, wouldn't have really a show if nobody was watching. So we thank you for tuning in every week, for sharing the show with friends and family and co-workers. We're getting wonderful feedback about the show, so we're super happy and terrific. Keep sharing, folks. Keep subscribing. We really, really appreciate it. Well, time together is about up, but we want to thank you again for joining us and have